So very rarely do I get a chance to interview a company which is innovating in something which is very traditional, something which you don't think about on a day-to-day basis. I have with us today Mr. Tarun from Fanzart, and they make designer fans. Am I right?
Yes.
So can you just tell a bit more about Fanzart and about fans, and why would you want to get into fans?
I think we started off as consumers.
Okay.
I used to live in the US. My parents were visiting me, and it was in San Diego that they found a nice outdoor fan like the summer garden we have lying here. And I think it was my dad who said, "Oh, lovely concept. They brought this fan outside. There is a certain decorative aspect to it, or a designer aspect to it. Designer is decorative, which is aesthetic plus functional." And he said, "Why don't we look for some?" Because they were renovating home here in Bangalore. So I think they came back. This was in 2011. They came back and they couldn't find any. And of course, curiosity, took him to finding some numbers. And India being such a panka nation, there was nothing designer to it. And of course, the more we looked around, we saw that the topmost interior designers had used such state-of-the-art products for everything, for couches, for tables,
Okay.
for anything and everything at home, lights, but the fans were still the same.
Okay.
And they just didn't go in that. They weren't accentuating the design, they weren't contributing, they were in fact spoiling the design. But you need a fan. So I think that's what sort of brought the problem statement to us, at least.
Okay.
2012 I moved here, and 2012 we started this, which was our first flagship showroom here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Fanzart, the entire company is run by your family itself?
Yes, basically it's my dad, my mom, and me,
Okay.
and so it's a family business. It's a family startup.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So how did you? I mean, so this is your first store. I mean, how many stores do you have?
So totally we have about 65,
Okay.
which is a mix of company-owned, franchised, both standalone as well as experience center within showrooms. And then there are a few which are in partnership with Future Group's hometown as well.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. So I would like to understand this. So, coming from the perspective of a home buyer, why should I care a lot about fans? About design? I mean, why should I have a designer fan? Why should I actually even have a fan? Because these days, anyway, more often than not, every room has an air conditioner. I live in Bangalore. Temperatures over here are pretty low, and even I've managed to put an AC in my room. So,
Right.
just trying to understand why should I care about fans now?
I think we live in Bangalore. You put an AC in the room. I think that's a global warming issue.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think realistically, what's happening is, I think as a nation, we've been into fans,
Okay.
whether it's air circulation or breeze. So even people who, don't care about the lack of design on it, put fans anyway. Countries that have not used fans before, like the US, are now getting more and more fans, and there are multiple reasons for it. One is the health reason.
Okay.
If you're non-stop in the AC, they say you get brittle, you get stiff. There is a big health issue to just using ACs versus fans. Even if you do have an AC, the most efficient way is to use a fan along with it,
Okay.
so that the fan circulates the same cool air. Otherwise, AC will throw the cool air will settle at the bottom, warm air will rise up by convection. Fans come in and circulate the same air. So now you can actually save on your air conditioning bills, which we do. We see a lot on the corporate side. Corporate side, because the decisions are more business based. We have fans specifically for the tile and grid ceiling in corporate offices, which are
Okay.
used in back offices and stuff in hotels. They put now a combination of fans and ACs, and they've seen saving of about 50-60% on their electricity bills.
Wow, 50-60%.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice. So there is health benefit and there's energy benefit as well.
Absolutely. And now there is a design.
And yeah, thanks to
Accentuation.
Fanzart, there's a design accentuation.
So yeah, I mean, now that I think in our case, plus we know a lot of other people, so this is my feedback. Once you see something like this, it's not sort of possible to go back to it. Like for, there are what I like to say there's a design aspect, there's a functional aspect, then there is a specific use case aspect. For example, we have these retractable blades over here, or on top over there we have the Newton and the Windflower.
Okay.
Now, when you go above dining tables, right, people want a nice light feature.
True.
But they miss out on the fan feature. They say, how do we do this? Right? They don't want the blade suspended above the dining table.
Correct.
So these are retractable blades that are hidden on top. They come out when turned on.
Okay.
Those blades are completely encompassed. They don't come out itself.
Okay.
But they displace a ton of air. They displace in 11-inch radius that displays as much air as a 5-foot fan.
Wow.
So they are brand new. They're called Vortex plates. We just won an award for those two fans.
Okay.
Something like that above a dining table is something that has never been heard of until about a month ago when we released them. So something like this where you get a lovely light feature with a dimmer and 3 color options.
Oh wow.
Plus a design like that, plus blades that you can't see. These are solutions to problems that have never had a fit before.
True.
So these are specific use cases. Similarly, we have something for walk-in wardrobes, something for kitchens, something for small rooms, something for areas that don't have rooms for a fan, recessed fan options.
So the factory manufactured fans don't serve this or cater to this market at all? I mean, do they not serve this purpose?
They are a little more cookie cutter. They're a little more cookie cutter. They are getting into that right now.
Okay.
Even our homegrown brands, which are, again, they've been giants, they've been in the industry for decades now, and there's a ton of respect for these companies with how much they've done. They are still number one in fans in India. Of course, we're a little more niche compared to them.
Of course. Yeah.
And they are now getting into it, but their distribution again is still the same. They don't have experience centers the way we do. And so they don't cater to the same HNI, Ultra HNI class that we ideally do. We do upper premium and luxury in the branding pyramid. And as mentioned, I mean, with the way prices of phones and everything else are going, we're not just HNI and Ultra HNI, but they are our ideal customers, yes.
Okay, fair enough. So, I would like to understand this. You started this experience center. You have all these designer fans. And how was your first customer like? I mean, he comes in and I'm sure he's coming from someone like my context. By the way, the point which you said that once you see this, you can't go back. I'll actually think twice about going home and looking at my fan now. But I'm coming from his perspective. How was your first customer like? I mean, how was the experience like? Because I'm sure they wouldn't have seen something like this before, right?
They wouldn't have. I mean, nobody. We did. In fact, I remember 2012 we were here. And we would look outside. For the first time, I was happy with the traffic jam. People were seeing inside.
Okay.
People were seeing inside, and at that point in time, we hadn't tied up with too many architects and interiors. Tied up means we hadn't educated too many architects and interior designers. Fans were always it was an electrical product. It wasn't a home interior product, let alone a luxury product.
Correct.
It's also a last mile purchase product. Even after lights, we make sure we install them after the painting so that the paint and stuff doesn't fall on the fan. So as a last mile purchase, people have spent all this money, whether it's on plot and construction or just with an apartment or a condo or whatever, and then spent all this on interiors. Inevitably, what happens is that people come under a certain budget of interiors, and no matter what part of the pyramid you are, that budget is just exploding in your face as soon as you start spending on interiors.
Yeah.
Then you find yourself in a last mile purchase, and you're like, wait, I thought I had to spend this much on a fan. Now you're asking me to spend so much on a fan. How dare you?
Wow, okay.
So now, I mean, I think 7.5 years later, we are we are, we have 3D models on Google SketchUp and 3ds Max and so on and so forth. So now people are looking at it as a design contributive sort of product, and that decision is coming a lot earlier in that entire decision making equation, right? Except the first few customers were all like, oh, I'm just done. My housewarming is now in 3 days or a week, and I have this decision to make.
Oh.
So the first entire year went on amazing feedback, people who love the products, but not too many who would buy.
Okay.
So the first entire year went on, amazing awareness, amazing responses, people who like stuff.
Okay.
But I mean, my entrepreneurship always taught me that unless and until a person's handing you his money,
Yeah.
there's
Deal is not closed.
It's not closed. It's,
Yeah.
not closed. It's not a win. It's not a win.
It's not a win. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the first customer, the first year.
Okay.
I think it was 11 months in until when we set up our first franchise.
Wow.
That we said this was our first actual win, because now this is somebody who is not only setting up a franchise, but who's putting his livelihood into this business sort of working in another city.
Wow.
So
You love your concept so much?
Yeah.
That's
Fortunately, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good to know. Okay. So, I would like to understand this. This home construction there's two aspects to this industry. There's the creative aspect, and there's functional and the cost costing and the budget aspect. So, in the creative aspect, you have, your architects, interior designers, etc. And I would like to know this. How has been essentially the response when they first time see your products or your catalog or experience your fans? What's been their reaction?
I think designer fans have been in India before. They have either been imported or been tried. For various reasons, it's not worked. If somebody has tried, for business reasons, for the market not being ready, for spending power not being able to adopt something, various reasons which were either in somebody's control or out. I think now the timing was also better. I think there was a fair amount of perseverance also that went into it. The fact that we had seen things like LEDs make a revolution before, incandescent bulbs changed to LEDs was a revolution. We believe we're amidst a similar revolution in fans.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons today it's worked. Earlier, when people used to import, they were merely decorative. Europe and stuff has fans that give a fair breeze, but they weren't the way we have them today, for multiple reasons. One, when a person imports from Europe, their canopy is different, their integration to Indian ceilings is different, just the way you do everything is just you have to now do something extra in order to, you have to go out of your way and make an extra effort beyond just spending the money and getting these fans in order to put those fans up. That was one issue. Two, those fans, the RPM was a little lesser. RPM is not just the only thing. RPM is maybe the third thing that comes into it. The blade angle was a little different. The second thing is the motor. So I'll start one by one. One is the blade angle. Our blade angle is a lot more than conventional fans, because of which we displace a higher amount of air, and that comes in a CFM unit. So our CFM, something like the fan which is right above us. Any third-party engineering team will tell you 7,000 is a good CFM for Indian conditions. This is a very low RPM, but this goes 14,200 CFM. This displaces 14,200.
Okay.
So this falls under your HVLS, high velocity, low speed, like how you have in your airports and stuff. Massive fans going at a very slow speed, but displacing a very relieving amount of air. So this is great. So one is the blade angle. Two is the motor. The amount of copper, the purity of copper, all that is so much higher that we now not only absorb lesser amount of power than your conventional fans, but we have a higher amount of current flowing through it for a lesser amount of power.
Okay.
And the way the motor is, the ball bearings are, everything is just a lot better. Plus the advent of DC motors have just come in. Out of 100 models, we have about 45 BLDC motor fans.
So what's the advantage? I mean, for someone, even I don't know.
There's multiple. So this is electromagnetic in nature. So there's no capacitor. It's a lot more seamless. It doesn't work on current fluctuation. Current fluctuation, when you turn 1, 2, 3, 4, a fan at home, you turn it into 1 and the fan runs like a joke. Run 2, I'm quoting Biswa Kalyanrath when I say he said the fan rots like a sarcastic joke.
Yeah.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 should be 0.1, 0.2, 78, 79.
Yeah, that's
because
how
then like 3 and 4 it runs really, really fast.
Yeah.
In BLDC motor fans, you don't fluctuate current. It takes the whole current and it actually gives you proper 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
The biggest thing about BLDC motor is that unlike your conventional fan that absorb 80 to 95 watts of power, this absorb about 20 to 35 watts.
Oh wow.
So
It's
there's
very
a big difference.
yeah, that's very energy efficient.
You know, there is a company called Attenberg, you would know, which are into BLDC motor fans, but they are more in the 3000 range.
Okay.
They're not very aesthetic appealing, but it's a very good company, IT guys and all that. I think it was their article that said something like India can save 20,000 gigawatts of power, gigawatt hour.
Wow.
So it was, I remember, it was something like, oh no, I think it was something like 13, almost 14 lakh watts of power per hour in India.
Just by replacing
Just by replacing all the fans into BLDC.
Wow.
And that's a massive number.
Yeah, that's massive.
What change it can do to the carbon footprint of India would be something else.
Yeah, I mean it would solve our energy problem.
Exactly. And just the fans. I'm not saying anything else. Baki sab jaise chalna hai, chalne do. No problem, right? So just the fans. BLDC will make that change.
Okay.
On top of that, there's a form factor. There's lesser moving parts because it's an electromagnetic motor. Stuff like that. So the longevity of the product is higher. There are big advantages of a BLDC motor compared to your regular AC induction motor.
True, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you just pointed out few innovations which you have done with Fanzart. What are the most proud innovations, if I may ask, with Fanzart, which you think you have delivered, which many other companies have not, or are not even thinking along those lines?
I think something that I think the specific use case thing for dining tables, walk-in wardrobes, things like those, vortex plates. We've never had 11-inch radius fans that can displace the same amount of air as 5 feet diameter fans.
Was this the one which you won an award for?
Yes, we just won an award at Ace Tech for this.
Oh, nice.
So, we've been fortunate. We've been blessed to win, I think, 10 awards this year.
Oh, wow.
And one of them was the Ace Tech Design One Award.
Okay.
For 2 of our models. One is called the Windflower and the other is called Newton. And they have something called vortex plates.
Okay.
And they displace an amazing amount of air. We have a 60-inch fan, so it's a 30-inch radius, and this is an 11-inch radius. They both displace the same amount of air.
Wow.
So this is something, and these blades are encompassed by an LED chandelier. So you can't even see the blade. The blade doesn't even come out. It's just in there. And it goes at 400 RPM, displacing about 8,000 CFM of air.
Wow.
Something like that is brand new.
Okay.
Something that we're coming out with in Jan. You must have heard of smart fans and, app
course.
integrated
Yeah,
fans. Alexa
my
integrated.
home has an Alexa.
Yeah, something like this,
fan.
right?
Yeah.
So now what we've created something which can fit into any of our fans.
Okay.
We don't have a smart fan, but we have something called a smart module
Okay.
that can turn any of our 100 models into a smart fan.
Okay.
We have an app. We have Amazon Alexa integration. We do Google Home. We have a smart switchboard. And so now we're going to be offshooting our own home automation solution. Now, why we did this is important to know. While integration to fans is fairly straightforward, the integration to fans was not very elegant. Maybe one of the reasons other guys are also doing this. When you integrate with AC motor fans, straightforward, easy, no problem there. Your speeds are controlled, your on and off is controlled, but now fans like ours are coming up with sleep, Bluetooth speaker, summer winter feature, which is the fan going anti-clockwise for a cool breeze, clockwise for a cozy warm air effect. All these are not included.
Okay.
DC motor fan, like I mentioned, the current fluctuation weren't a part of it.
Okay.
Home automation is also working on current fluctuation.
Okay.
DC motor fans don't understand current fluctuation. So if you want to control speeds there, you have to find another way of communicating to the fan that the home automation guys don't do currently.
Oh.
And so now in order to solve that, now DC motor fans are too small to worry about right now. But you saw the volume of the problem, right?
Yeah.
DC motor fans are coming in now, and so right now the existing home automation doesn't do anything but turn it on and off.
Okay.
So right now, in order to solve that problem, we have a solution wherein you can now use the fan as a central hub and automate the rest of your home.
Wow.
No wiring needed, no other protocols needed. Literally, you connect your fan to Wi-Fi and you're good to go for the entire home.
Okay.
And this is something that we're very excited about.
Okay.
We're tying up with some very existing big home brands of India to roll out something like this.
Okay.
And that's something that has never been done before.
Nice. So looking forward to it. So
Yeah, this will also be at a fraction of the cost.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this. So I'll definitely wait for this. I mean, any date if you could.
Jan 15th.
Oh, okay.
Tentative date Jan 15th, but yeah, we're very excited about it.
Nice. Okay. So I would like to understand this. You have some massive companies which build fans. So I don't think most people realize how many units they sell. They sell very huge volumes.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to understand how or why rather a company like that would not want to do something which you're doing, just to understand, or in the sense that, okay, so you have this massive company and you have an industry which is also massive. I mean, every home needs a fan.
Yeah.
So Fanzart, you make designer fans. Why should a bigger company not do this, or why are they not doing this? And two is, why should a home owner trust you? Because you're a small company, very frankly, like compared to Usha, Orient, I mean, Khaitan, all these are huge companies.
Right.
So can you just explain that to me?
So there are two different things you mentioned here.
Yeah.
One is, of course, I think the top four right now, Crompton, Usha, Havells, Orient, all of them are great companies doing fantastic business, selling so many units. I think a fan is also a product where anybody moving into any home needs a fan, and at spending $2,000, $3,000 a fan, it's pretty recession proof to like really do it. And so these guys have done a phenomenal job. I think when we looked at it as consumers, we wanted something beyond the functional element to it, and so we found a niche, which was too small for these big guys to care about.
Okay.
For them, the volume was so big that something like this needed a lot of work. That effort to reward ratio was something that was just not in their thing. Plus, I think, how their entire distribution channel goes from the retail counters, the distributors, so on and so forth. Even the market wasn't there to tell them that, hey, listen, we could use something like this. So when we started, it was a very vitamin product. It still is a vitamin product. Nobody needs this. But we are a market where somehow, if you do the math, our market does spend more on vitamins than on painkillers. So somewhere down the line, because we did the proof of concept, now these companies have brought it.
Okay.
They may be still priced a little lower than us. They may be still, introducing designs, manufacturing here in India. I would like to say that I think our quality and our finishing and everything is a lot nicer, because of which we demand that higher price as well, which is something they haven't gotten into. But no, they have been attracted to this market. I think it's just too small of a market for them to even care about.
Okay.
But that being said, the bigger companies, and I mean, I used to work for EMC Corporation.
What's
EMC is a company that was sold to Dell for about $70 billion.
Oh, the server company.
Correct. Not servers, storage.
Storage company.
So
sorry.
they were big, and how EMC used to do it was they had a standard of when anything was done, they put 10% of their I forget if it was revenue or profit, but into R&D and 10% into mergers and acquisitions. So at any point in time, they would do R&D to create new products, or if something was created and proof of concept was done, they would go and acquire companies. And so I don't know how guys in the fan industry do it, but assuming that's the two kind of ways to do it, I mean, we've done that proof of concept, and they have subsequently and consequently introduced models like those. So they are doing it now.
Okay.
They may be not doing it exactly the
Like-
same way as us.
Yeah.
Not in the same style, not in the same manner, not really bringing design, but bringing smarts and other ways to do it as well. Which is why, there's one by one fan, here's the smarts, here's everything, the right brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
And so until we can afford the right guys to come and do it. But no, but they have entered the same field. So
Okay. And the second question: why should a homeowner trust a small company?
it's funny. You mentioned the word trust, which in India is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Brand is trust.
Yeah.
And which is why some of the biggest, the most respectable today, the Reliance and the Tatas, and immense respect for these guys. They've built a certain trust. Whether it's Mr. Ratan Tata or Mr. Mukesh Ambani, they stand for something so grand.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how I'll feel just if I see them in person, right? It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And no, I think that's something that we are yet to go, right? As 7.5 years in the market, I think the fact that we have persevered so far and had our footprint is about 65 showrooms, all of India, 6 countries now, and so I think between hard work, intelligence, luck, everything, our equation kind of going our way. I think between our product, our designs, everything has gone way. Our finishing, we have touched intellectual, we've touched emotional. We've created a brand that people who are looking for it, find it. There is a little bit of trust that we have started gaining. And I think something like trust just comes with time.
Okay.
For now, I think what we're trying to do is, as an end consumer, we're not a reusable use case. A person who puts fans then will need to come back. As long as their home is saturated with us, they don't come back to us for 20 years. You don't need to come back to us for 20 years, and that's one of our sort of USPs, right? It's the architects and interior designers who are the reusable use case for us.
Okay.
And they are the trusted sort of channels for them. So as long as the architects and interior designers are happy with us, happy using our fans, happy introducing functionalities and smarts the way we have, plus the designs, I think they are our trusted channel. And so right now we're focusing on creating the brand with them.
Okay.
And hopefully as a byproduct of this, and at some point extending to the end consumers as well, hopefully sooner than later we would have had that trusted brand.
Okay,
Right?
fair enough.
Created with end consumers as well.
That's actually how trust is built. It takes time. It
Takes
takes persistence.
Absolutely. With every good fan.
Yeah.
and it's so hard with every and it's hard, right? You get 99 amazing things, and we are a country with current fluctuation issues and God knows whatnot, right? And you do find once in a way, and that's how like electronics works. You put something in there, you put a capacitor to blow up before the product blows up. So if one fine day the fan goes off and somebody says your fan's not working, be like, oh, now it's working, right? Because of this, because it was, $10 to buy a capacitor, and it saved you your 50 grand fan.
Yeah.
But no, it was done. So I mean, we have 1 out of 1,000 cases, right?
Okay.
Maybe, and that's also, you know, that your tech is working there. If the capacitor blows up, you know it's working, so
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah,
But because of current fluctuations, it works. So you do get that one odd person who says, you know, hey, this is what's happened. But I mean, hopefully, with our experience, they've loved working with us. They're people who, you know, I call myself and I say, hey, listen, you know, I'm really sorry this has happened. Somebody's there at the person. We've had a good problem of being very busy with our technicians and installation folks.
Okay.
So if we can't get to the person on the same day, we get there the next day or the day after that. Or if we're in an exhibition, it takes 3-4 days. But then they're happy with the service, with their experience, and so I think it's the experience around it that then matters.
Okay.
But yeah, with a good product, good experience, good service, hopefully it all kind of works out.
So let me ask you this: anyone who's looking to buy something new starts his research online, researches for specifications, parameters, reviews, etc. So considering, I mean, you've been around fans, you know, like there's so many fans here.
Right.
What are the sort of parameters you think any homeowner should look for when he's looking at a fan? The way for my smartphone, for example, I look for, okay, what's the OS on it? What's the, I don't know, is it an AMOLED screen? Is it an LED screen? What's the battery capacity? So what are the sort of parameters you think any homeowner should look for in a fan?
I think first is to define the objective.
Okay.
For example, I know people who shot an entire short film on just an iPhone.
Yeah, of course. They won Oscars with that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
There was that haunted movie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That horror movie or whatever. But no, I'm talking about as of recently, a Netflix movie was done on it. So if a person who is into video and everything, he says my objective is to do this, it makes sense spending that 1 lakh on a fan.
Okay.
Then it depends. Your picture quality, your this, your that.
So
your
what are the sort of parameters in a fan then?
Right, so like you have your RAM, your storage, your LED display, whatever it is. I think in fan, especially with a design element to it, for us the first element has always been design.
Okay.
Not that we overshadow the functionality. I think with the fact that we look at blade angle more than RPM, the blade angle is second.
Okay.
The blade angle is something that gives you a luxurious breeze.
Okay.
Usually what, according to our research and feedback and survey and everything, consumer psychology, people want that instant gratification as soon as they enter, and then they reduce the fan speed when they sit underneath it.
Yeah.
So then the blade angle displaces more amount of air than by a fan going faster.
Okay.
The fan going faster then makes a sound, then there's wear and tear, then all that other stuff. And here you want breeze, you want circulation, you want that relief, you want that, you know, that sense of breeze coming to you. So blade angle is one. The motor specs is the one after that.
Okay.
So the motor specs, because the amount of copper in it, purity of copper, the amount of current flowing through the motor for the amount of power absorbed is another. And so, which again, you have your power, voltage, current, all that, that equation, right? And then is the RPM.
Okay.
Fan speed is a pH scale.
Okay.
Right? It's not like really a binary thing. It's not like hai ke nahi hai. It's a pH scale.
Okay.
Negative 14 to positive 14. No, I mean it's 14, so it's minus 7 to plus 7. Literally, we have fans that go at 110 RPM. We have fans that go up to 400 RPM. We have fans at 52-inch blades that go at 315 RPM, which is, you know, about the same or more than your regular conventional fan. We have a fan like the Avalon I was telling you about that goes slightly slower but displaces the highest amount of air ever in residential. So again, it really depends on your objective. Something like this is great for a larger double height ceiling, bigger villa or a bungalow or a, you know, bigger space. Your use case is a big objective. Whether you're going into the bedroom, kids' room, drawing room, walk-in wardrobe,
kitchen.
bathroom, kitchen. You will
bathroom
not
mein fan.
Bathroom mein fan. Delhi में bathroom में fan लगा था. It gets so hot over there. Vijayawada, Delhi, so many of these places the temperature goes up to 45, and I mean they say more than 45, but
My
I don't
God.
really know, something like that. So in the bathroom also they want a fan. And now whether you want a recessed fan, whether you want a wall fan, whether you want an actual little, we have a little fan called Pappu, which is a 26-inch diameter.
Okay.
And it's lovely. It goes up to 400 RPM. People put it. I have a friend who sent me a picture of somebody of my remote, saying, "I found this in a friend's house." And I'm like, "Great. Why is his razor next to the remote?" He said, "Oh, it's in his bathroom." I said, "Okay, ye bhi hota hai." So I said, "Okay." So when I went and studied the market up north, I said, "Okay, cool. This is what it is." But then it's the objective.
Okay.
We have a fan with Bluetooth speakers that are in kitchens. And I'm like, "Oh, great, people are listening to music." And the lady corrected me, "No, I use your fan in the kitchen. I listen to recipes when I cook."
Oh. Wow. I did not think of that.
The market's telling us this.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great to like hear stuff like this. So it really depends on the objective. So you start with the objective, and then your parameters are just laid out in front of you.
That's actually you you tell me this, that you have to start with the objective for a fan, because I'm being very frank, I don't think that much about a fan. so what should my objectives be if I have to ask? So I don't know, say I just tell you, so I recently got my home renovated, and my home is about 1800 square feet, and now that's all. That's the information I have. So how do I think of a fan? I'm just not able to visualize. Like, what objective should be there in my
You
mind?
know, we've started putting all these 3D models on Google SketchUp Warehouse for architects and interiors to use it in their renders, in their designs, and then design according to them would always be number one. The reason is because anything we pursue, right? Mad Over Marketing has, like, they put a picture of a Harley or a bullet.
Yeah.
You don't see that picture, you hear that picture.
Yeah.
Right? So all of a sudden, when you enter your room, seeing is as much as a part of relief. Today, some people may misconceive the concept of how breezy the fan is based on how fast or slow it's rotating, which is a common misconception. But visual is still an element. When you enter your home, you want it to look nice, you want it to look pleasant, and you live in that house for so long. It's aesthetic is a big part of it. Aesthetic is a big part of anything. Movies, weddings, your home, and your home which you live in is a no-brainer, right?
Correct.
So when you have an aesthetic sense, especially in our business, we've identified that aesthetic to be at least the number one sort of parameter. Then is the breeze. But the functionality is very use case. The reason we have 100 models and various collections, vintage, contemporary, modern. Now, modern and contemporary are two different things. While they mean the same, they're two different things. We've classified them a little differently. The way our blades are hidden and the way they come out, the way they give the breeze, the way the angle is. We have multiple colors of LEDs, warm light, daylight, white light, mood light. So all of a sudden, when we introduced mood light, I changed the fan in my room and I said, okay, I want a mood light in my bedroom now. And that's something that's amazing. You know, people are using lights as a part of something like this. And so that functionality comes as a part of, okay, I have these lights here, these lights here. When I moved into this apartment, I'm in this interim apartment where it's a rented apartment, and there were a couple of tube lights there. I'm like, I'm not using tube lights in my apartment. I threw them out, and now only warm lights. But then I said, okay, I'm going to get lights in the fans, and I got other standalone lights. Something that went under the table, which is a standalone. Something that went, in the TV area, and those are nice lights that I can take with me. Ambient sort of lights. Something in the balcony. And so, when you turn on these 4 or 5 lights, a nice sort of atmosphere is created. And so, again, functionality could be, this is what I'm going to be doing in my living room, this is what I'm going to be. And now H&Is are coming up with sunroom and cigar room and green room and, God knows what not, walk-in wardrobes. And so, again, it's a mix of things. So, we don't think that there is one element that sort of binary is a 1 and everything else is a 0. I think different people give different weightage to design functionality And no matter what your weightage is, these are the different parameters, no matter how you sequence it. And we have fans with all of these. We have the simple looking fans, the more economical fans, the more functional fans, the double heighted ceiling fans, the wall mounted fans, the kitchen fans, the recess fans, the table fans. And so you name it, there is, no matter what your equation is, no, with respect to what you value more, lesser looks more functionality, more looks less functionality, more looks more functionality, wooden, modern, silver, metal finish, everything is there, which is why we have 100 models, and we keep bringing in at least 10 to 20 models every year, if not more.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting answer. Because I'll be very frank. I did not think that you could have this sort of variance in a fan.
Yep.
So yeah. Okay. Let's move on. So I would like to know this. So you start this company which makes designer fans in India, where every single room has a fan. And you said, your first sort of getting your early customers was quite a bit of a struggle. But once you got going and the company started growing, at what point did you feel that, okay, we have something big here? We have something, we have something unique, we have something big, we have something which, ideally you would think that, hey, every homeowner wants a unique fan in his home. Right. So when was that realization? When did that hit you?
I think, in 2000, again, I think it was again with the first franchise.
Okay.
With the first franchise that this could really, I think franchising and branding was the way we wanted to go.
Okay.
That's when we realized that this could be something. Because as soon as they set up their showroom there, was the first time we had attached automation to it.
Okay.
And while we have remotes, we take remotes and we want people to feel those remotes because the remotes come with the fans and then we saw the first franchise. It came in Bombay in Lakshmi Industrial Estate in Andheri. Now we have one in Raghuvanshi as well. But the lady there was walking around with an iPad and then saying, "Oh, you want this fan? Take a look at this." And we were like, "Oh, cool! This guy put this little coconut tree coming out, and it was actually a really nice aesthetic." It was maybe a little smaller because the real estate in Bombay is like a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't as spaced out and breathable like this. But there was a very obvious luxurious element to it, and it was bringing reactions like no other.
Okay.
The reactions, while again it's not transaction, the reactions were very unique. It wasn't acha, it wasn't validation. Validation mein, when you validate an idea, and I'm sure you've been there, done that,
Yeah.
there are those false positives that sort of come. They weren't the false positives.
Okay.
I have kids who literally stare at these fans like they've never seen anything before.
Yeah,
And,
I can understand.
and
Right.
identify. My best friend's baby can differentiate a Fanzart remote to a TV and an air conditioning remote. and he pulls this remote and he points it at he's 1 year.
Wow.
He points it at the fan and he's doing this and he's doing that. And it's just amazing. I think it was at that franchise moment where we actually thought that there was something big on hands.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So I'd like to ask you this. Coming again from coming from an architect and an interior designer perspective, you said you've given models and you've given these sort of design tools to help them with their designs and all that. But what is something which you think they should know about fans? Because obviously you'd hope that an architect or interior designer has a lot more information than a traditional homeowner.
Yes, for sure.
So what sort of information you think they don't know or they've not heard of? Or
I think something that they need to know is about a quality. Right? Today, I think one of the reasons we have this whisper quiet, amazing finish and a very, very high quality product, which a person who merely imports fans and sets up a showroom like this cannot replicate is the quality and the finishing of the fans. There are multiple reasons. I think the main reason is my dad. He's a factory guy and he just knows. He gets into a factory and he's at home. He knows what's up. The other is our testing room. So I used to be a test engineer with EMC and then with Bose Corporation before that. We've set up temperature control rooms where fans have just been on for the past I don't know how many years. And the temperature control rooms means they go down to 0, they go up to 50. And so we stress test the fans. We have pure copper in them. We have a higher amount of copper in them, which improves the longevity of the fan. And so things that today when architects and interior designers are suggesting something, tomorrow if they have that buffet of options, one of the reasons why it should be us is because their name is, amalgamated or coalition or kind of partnered with that while suggesting it to their client.
Of course.
And the fact that our fan has that sort of quality and that functionality, which is why it's designer and not decorative purely, that's the main difference.
Okay. So when you say quality, you mentioned one of the parameters was your quality testing. The other parameter was the amount of copper.
Correct.
So can you just, for people who may not know how copper impacts, a fan's sound and the motor longevity and all that, can you just, elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. I think from a very let me see where I can elaborate. I think the copper, so usually companies put about 80-90 grams of copper in the motor. We put about 350 grams.
Wow.
It's a lot more. Plus, I think there is some dipping that happens in copper into other elements, which makes it a little impure. We make sure it's pure. One of the reasons why it's also a little more expensive. But you have to pay a little bit for a good product, right? This also is manufactured outside of India. And so between the manufacturing and importing as a finished good, duty and everything, it just ends up being a little more expensive. But with the copper, then what happens is that then with more amount of copper, you manage to create a motor with ball bearings and everything that's just so much more superior. That you're able to achieve that whisper quiet, you're able to achieve that lesser power absorbed, you're able to increase the surface area where the current flows. And so between the breeze, the whisper quiet and just the lifespan of the product, the heart of the fan is that motor. And so for the first time in our Astex, we've made a little museum where we've put the motors out and all of that for people to see.
Okay.
And just that finishing on it is so much nicer. We've visited factories here in India. You keep them side by side and it's never the same. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so moving on. So what do you think the future holds for Fanzart? What should a consumer expect? What are your visions? What should a consumer expect from you?
With the kind of innovations that we brought this year, we keep surprising ourselves. I kid you not, the credit for this company goes to my dad. And when he told me about this, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Fans? Are you serious?" Yeah. I was also working for EMC Corporation, and I was coming back to India, and I was like, really, fans. But despite that, we still keep surprising ourselves every year. I think one of the things, because I know people who love this, they don't necessarily want the same stuff everywhere. So it's not, because we have 100 models, the permutations and combinations are countless. So people don't have to worry about having the same stuff. But the one thing we do come out with is new models and new designs every year. We come up with something new in our older designs as well, whether it's the color of the housing, the rod, the blades, the finishing in the blades. We've come up with stuff like reversible blades, polishable blades, We customize light features onto the fans. Now that the limitation to like that is only limited by your imagination. That's something that can have unlimited. We have 35 fan models which can integrate into any sort of light feature, and those light features um, are I mean can be designed. We have somebody in Bombay who designs it. We have somebody in Bangalore who designs it. We have somebody in Spain that designs it. We 3D print stuff. We laser cut stuff. And this customized angle just came about last year. So this is something that we just brought about. The mist fan is something that just came 2 years ago.
Mist fan.
We have the most premium mist fan in the market that reduces the ambient temperature for about 1,000 square feet by 8 degrees.
What?
And that's something that has never been done before.
Air conditioners do that.
Air conditions in an outdoor setup can do it at a very small height and can take 1,000 watts an hour.
True.
We do it at 300.
Okay.
And actually, our mist fan is 6 feet 5 inches, which
this
comes
released?
with a mist regulator. This.
Okay, I'll make sure there's links in the description.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, this is the guy right here.
Okay.
And then we have designs on the fan over there, and you can, we put characters on it based on how kids want it. We put kids' photos on it and stuff like that. Something that fans never had. Earlier, maybe you could put a wallpaper of Chota Bheem on a fan, and that would be something. So, I mean, we ourselves have surprised ourselves. What's next? I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe the automation thing. We've been working on that, so that's next right now.
Okay.
We wanted to solve for the fan. We've solved for the home, and so I don't know. We'll keep looping you in as soon as we find out what that is.
Sure. Sounds good.
We have the guy behind you that has a human sensor in it.
A human sensor.
Yeah. So what that means is, in places where you have a lot of people, the fan. So one is pedestal fans never went 360 degrees.
Correct.
We have pedestal fans that go 360 degrees
Okay.
with the option.
Okay.
30 degrees, 60, 90, 120, 180, 360. This one goes 360, but if people are moving in and out, this rescans the room and smartly adjusts the oscillation to where people are seated.
Oh wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so it's a pedestal fan and it's a beautiful, I mean, the fan has all these smarts. It has an eco feature based on the temperature outside. The speed can go up and down, speed
Okay.
feature,
Okay.
remote. And I mean, on top of that, I have to say, this matte finish, that boy, it looks pretty sexy as well as a fan. So, and so it's got everything in it. So
Okay.
there's quite a lot that we have that a lot of people don't know about. But yeah, we're still on the lookout for what's next.
Nice, great to know. So, guys, I really urge you to check out one of their stores. It's a really different experience because, trust me, even I, before coming for the interview, I was very, very surprised at the sort of fans they had. I'll make sure that the links of Fanzart's different stores are in the description, and different products which he spoke about are also in the description, so you can find it. So, any parting words to any new homeowner?
Please check us out. You will. I think we've about 63 experience centers all over the country. We're not only sure to accentuate the designs in your homes, but in your hearts as well. And I'm sure your experience, not only with the product but with us, will be an extraordinary one. And so do look us up, and we'll help you. Make your home a designer one. So
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Tarun.
thank you. I appreciate your time as well in doing this. So thank you.